Well, it's a little windy out here. I got the muff on the microphone, so hopefully it works. But my next project I mentioned in a video is going to be Mara needs a new potting bench, and I would say Mara needs a new potting bench. This thing is pretty rough. Pretty rough. You see the bent uh, part, the platform at the bottom? That's because that's all finger joints. That's finger joints. Why would you do that? Something that's going to be outside. Finger joints. Finger joints. It's not big enough either. So I'm building her a new one that is going to be 2 feet deep by 4 feet wide out of new pressure treated lumber. And hopefully it'll come out very nice. It's going to be heavy, but it'll be better than this. Welcome back to the shop of the channel, and this is the pressure treat, the first load of pressure treated lumber for the bench. Now, the size I derived from what she's using now. This tabletop I made and put on some sawhorses for her doing her dye classes when she teaches people how to do natural dyes. But right now it's substituting as a potting bench. But I'm going to build her a correct potting bench. And what we have is 4x for the legs, and 1x6s for the skirts and stretchers. I've got enough just to build the base this time around. I'm kind of buying wood piecemeal as I go along in this project because I don't have a lot of storage for wood in here. I need a whole nother shop in that direction or that direction to store stuff. Have a finishing room. Dreams, dreams, dreams. So I'm going to break this stuff down to the appropriate lengths. This is going to get ripped in half. These two are going to get ripped in half. I'm going to cut these down to the appropriate lengths and widths, and then we'll come back and on the next segment, and we'll start the assembly of the bench. Now, I was going to inlet these into here, a lot of dado cuts, a lot of chiseling, whatever, and I thought, this is outdoor furniture. It doesn't have to be fancy. I don't have to do any mortise and tenon joinery. I'll just fasten the skirts and stretchers on the surface of the legs, and it'll be strong enough. I might put a diagonal in the back, but I don't know. I also have to build a shelf in the back that goes against the wall, so she can have a place to put things. I might do a double shelf, and then where the lower stretchers is going to have a shelf on it as well, like the one I showed you from the intro video to this video thing. Anyway, let me break this down and we'll get back to it. Here's the basic shape. It's ready to go for the finishing parts. The posts are 34 inches, and it's 4 feet by 2 feet. A little bit more than 2 feet because of the outside stretchers, but it's 4 feet that dimension, a little over 2 feet in that dimension. The short stretchers are in place on both ends, and I've clamped the long stretchers on. And now I'm going to screw these in place. And at that point, and I've already squared it up too. At that point, once I've screwed these in place, I can measure up and go pick the wood for the top and for the lower shelf. At that point, I'll be designing the backing that's going to have a shelf up here. So let's get busy drilling and doing some screwing stuff. So you got to drill first and then screw second. This is all deck hardware, by the way, coated deck hardware. So I'll stand up to the elements. And I'm going to put a fourth one in here, but the clamp is in the way. So you get the general idea of how all this is going together. It's real easy, simple project. Now this is not going to go on the porch where Mara's working now with the other table. It's going to go down on the little cement patio we have down there, concrete patio we have down out there where the old one was. The old one will go into the recycling or whatever. So let me finish all these screws, and then we'll pick it up when we start cutting the top. I'm debating whether or not to use the 5/8 tread for the top, or just 2x4, 3/4 inch stock for the top. It doesn't really matter It's just mostly an aesthetic thing. I also have to put a center stretcher, top and bottom, for added support for the top and for the bottom um, thingy. Yeah, bottom shelf. So let me get this done. All fastened up. I put the cross brace in here, cross stretcher, whatever you want to call it, cross brace in here. To get the even spread of the decking boards that go over the top to make the top of the bench, I ripped these down to 4 5/16, and that gives me, with a 1/4 inch gap between each one. All right, so set up with a 1/4 inch gap between each one, and that leaves me with about a inch and something overhang on the front, which it's just for pleasantness. So now I need to cut the one. I got all these cut out, all of these. What I want to do is cut the ones that go in the bottom because I got to notch them for the legs, and then I'm going to route the sides, the corners of these off to give it. Well, it'll shed water better, hopefully, but also just gives it a little more eye appeal, I think. So let me get that started, and then I'll show you how we're proceeding with this in a little bit. Got the bottom shelf in place. Interesting fitting note. I had to narrow the center boards because this is a different length from here to here. It goes right to the outside here on the bottom, whereas the other one comes out here. The top comes out here. So I had to narrow 2 boards to get them to fit right. Also, I'll show you in a minute. I decided not to put notches in the ends of these boards because it is pressure treated lumber and it's going to move like crazy as it dries. So let me show you what's going on here real quick. This is what I mean by not notching this board. I mean, this small piece coming out, even though I could put a screw in it to hold it in place, it would move. It doesn't matter. It's outdoor furniture. It's not even furniture. It's a workbench. So I didn't notch that there. I just cut it short, put it in. These 2 boards here and these 2 boards there are 4 and 5/16, and these 2 are narrower. I think they're 3 1/2. The corners are rounded over on the router table. And believe it or not, this one here, have the big gap, is pretty close to being a 1/4 at either end, but it's got a big gap because the board was warped. And I really don't need to be straightening this stuff out. It's not fancy stuff. It's just an outdoor workbench, and it's going to change its shape over time. Now we got to do the top. Here's the boards. You saw them earlier for the top. I'm going to run these through the router table to round over the top edges here and here, except the back one only gets out of one side. I want it straight on the back because I'm going to be putting the shelf brackets and everything back there. Well, whichever one winds up being the front or the back, because this is pretty symmetric. So maybe I'll do a quick little time lapse of doing that and some other things, and then we'll go start fastening these things down. This is piece number 1. It goes on the back. This is now going to be the back. As you can see, it is rounded over on one side. It is not rounded over on the other because the backing thing for the shelf, which I haven't even designed yet, is going to go here. And again, I'm using deck screws, get them off the bottom so I can get to them. And I'm pre-drilling the ends because if you just drive screws through this, you know that's going to split. So I'm pre-drilling the ends. And the way I do this is I'll put 1 screw here, then line up this side and put 1 screw here, and then 2 here, and one more here. So let's do some drilling and screwing of things. That's all lined up. Okay, there's the top. I don't know if you can see the overhang here. No overhang on the sides, just an overhang here. If she wants to clamp anything down, I don't know if she ever will. But there it is, and it's getting heavier and heavier with every piece of work I do. And I got to get a friend to help me again carry this thing out to the backyard. So the next thing to do is to design the shelf thing in the back and work on that for a bit, and then come back and assemble it, put it together, cut it out, put it together, all that kind of good stuff. That'll probably sit on the side until we get this out to the yard and on the patio, and then at that time I will go ahead and permanently fasten the shelf bracket thingy here. So moving right along, let's get that designed and start making it. And here's the finished product. Mara set the height and the depth of the shelf, the upper shelf. And so I built it that way, and I built it in place. I'm going to leave it there. It's light enough where I can just leave it on and not have to put it out on the patio and then put the shelf on. But there's also room enough so if she wants another shelf added, I can do that later. It's ready to go out in the backyard, so I got to get my neighbor to help me out. I'll give you a little close-up of how I did the shelf thing. The assembly on the back is real simple, so I had to put a filler in between the leg and this vertical piece here because the skirt stands strapped proud of the leg by 3/4 of an inch, so I just put a filler block in there, filler board in there, and on top of that I put this board, which holds this board. Now all it is these two boards, and this filler in is this piece of support here, and a piece of 1x6, 1x8 is stood vertically here, and another piece of 1x8 is laid on top of that, and it's braced on the end by just a square piece of wood right here, square that braces on the end, and it's supported all the way along by this vertical board, and that's it. So this is, like I said, it's not fancy furniture. It needs to work hard for a living. So that's what it's going to do. So we're going to end this video here and get this out to the backyard at some point soon. I don't know when the next video is going to come. I have reduced my spending dramatically. Since all of this is by me, I don't have any sponsors. I have to pay for everything. I've reduced my spending dramatically because of I'm retired on a fixed income, and I just want to be sure that fixed income I get is still going to be there, and I don't have to go back to work. So we're waiting on that. But I may do some small projects. I've got a restoration project I'd like to bring in here soon. It's a family heirloom that I need to do some work to. So until next time, whenever that is, make great things out of wood.